All right, welcome to the Expansion Chamber, episode 11. It's been a while, it's been about a month, but we are back, and we're back at what we do best, flaming SIG. So just recently, there was a video that came out from a police department in Monteville, in which a SIG Sauer 320 went off on its own in the holster. So we're going to watch the video, and then we're going to see what SIG has to say, and we're going to go from there. So I don't think there's any audio to it, but they're dealing with some suspect or something. They lift his feet, and when they lift his feet, the gun seems to go off. So you can see here, right there. Yeah. So it looks like he kicked the holster essentially, and that set the gun off. So that impact is what set the gun off. Now, SIG has released a statement, and we'll go over this statement when it loads. Is it? Can you guys see it?
Nope. I can read it for you if you want. I have it loaded right here.
I just wanted to pull it up into the stream, but it doesn't seem to be working. So, oh well, we'll make it work. So,
why don't you read it?
Let me try one more time to see if I can get it to present.
Get it, or take a picture of it and then load the picture. That you can screenshot
Window.
it.
Here we go.
Oh, you got it now. There you go.
Bam. All right.
Still can't see it, but that's fine.
I got it.
Now we can see it.
There we go.
Following statement relative to a reported unintentional discharge from an officer at the Monteville, I think that's Connecticut, Police Department on Monday, July 24th, 2023. We have seen the news reporting of the incident involving a P320 discharge at the Monteville Police Department. We are confident, as is the case in all instances, that when the factors and evidence are reviewed, this will be proven to be an unintentional discharge as a result of inadvertent contact with the trigger, and that the pistol did not fire without a trigger pull. In reviewing the video footage of this incident currently available, it appears the involved firearm was not fully seated in its holster, and the holster retention hood was not fully closed over the pistol at the time of discharge. This improperly holstered condition would have left the firearm's trigger exposed and vulnerable to actuation. Even if properly holstered, the features of the involved holster allow for foreign object intrusion interaction with the trigger, as has been seen in other incidents. We regret that the involved agency jumped to conclusions regarding the cause of this discharge without first carefully examining the footage of the incident and providing SIG Sauer an opportunity to assist in the examination of that involved firearm. We'll look at the pistol pictures in a second. The P320 model firearm is used effectively and safely every day. Blah, 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 blah. It's great. We're perfect, and SIG's the best. All right. So
wait, hold on. That one line about what is it with 3 separate federal courts?
Yeah.
Have concluded that 2 experts, because if you don't tell them this part, then all the SIG lovers will have a hard time. Have concluded that 2 experts have proffered a theory of uncommanded discharge are unfit to testify in court because they are unqualified and their opinions are untested or unreliable. So SIG's saying that in the cases that are up against them, with over 400 plaintiffs on the larger case, that most of these people are unqualified to testify. These armed professionals that are using their product every day are unqualified to testify. Now
this is
what's the story here?
So their claim is the pistol was not fully seated in the holster, and the hood was not engaged. Now, it's pretty grainy, but something I noticed, because Brianna sent me this article, and this post, I'm like, okay, that seems plausible, pistol not secured properly. I re-reviewed the video and looked at these images. And at first, you think the hood's down and the pistol's really high out of the holster. But it's this image here where this is the supposed hood, but there's all this bulk right here. And the fact that the hood is a different color, it's that light gray tone. Now, a lot of people may or may not be familiar, but there is a product on the market, and LARP, I will have you show it.
How's right here? Is this a good enough Vanna White here?
Oh, very nice. Sexy.
So I'm trying to make LARPs bigger, but I can't figure it out. Anyways, you can see here, the gray is probably the band of a tourniquet, the time band, and the mass in the front is the tourniquet holder. This is very popular among law enforcement, military. A lot of people use these, whether you're military, but it doesn't have to be military and law enforcement use it, but a lot of people use this, especially law enforcement, use this sort of product right here. And that would actually line up with what we see. So if we look at the video again, right here, you can see it's gray and there's a mass right there.
Mm-hmm.
Let me bring it back a little bit.
I see it.
but you can see as he turns, right, and where it's riding, that would probably, it is a safari land. You can see the hood, the glisten. See how it's glistening right there? There's normally a little leather strap on the top of a safari land.
Yeah, it's a level 3 hood, right?
It's a level 3 safari land. The hood is engaged.
Aren't they also required to have ALS?
Yeah, all level 3s have an ALS and an SLS.
Right.
If you look here, you can see the hood right here.
What that is, though, because a lot of people won't know what an ALS is if they haven't used the Safari Land.
Yeah, let me remove this for a second. LARP, if you want to demonstrate really quick.
Okay, so this is the SLS. Oh, wrong one.
Wrong one. Here we go.
There we go. So this hood here, this is the SLS. So this is is it
yes, that's the SLS.
Yeah, the SLS. Thank you. And then on the other side here, there's this sneaky little button here. So the gun is locked until you press said button, then it is allowed to come out. So that is what makes it a level 3. So you have 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
So
yeah. So if you actually, just for the hell of it, LARP, can you just hang it upside down so the audience understands that it ain't coming out unless you hit that part 3. Yeah, that thing ain't going anywhere.
Actually, let's also open the strap.
Yeah, exactly. The
hood won't go anywhere. And LARP, do me a favor, like pull the pistol out and then just put it gently put it in.
Yeah,
like from the top to the bottom.
Let gravity do the work.
Like it'll go in. Like it's not hard to put a Safari Land holster in. So if we look back at this right here, we're going here. We're looking. Right. So this is the guy. You can see there's just a little bit there. That's normally how it looks. So on a mid-ride, that's normally where the holster will sit on a mid-ride. And you can see he bends down. It seems to be in there. And then, like I said, you could see the hood at some point. Let's see if we can get back to where you can see the hood. Because that looks like the hood to me. The hood, and then that's the thumb protector right there.
It's so hard to tell because Axon cameras have such shit contrast. I mean, I wish
think this is an Axon.
You know what?
No, it's not.
It's not. It's like a Motorola or something.
All right, yeah, even worse. Let me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the link you sent me of the video. I'm going to try to download it and.
But so we can watch from this other angle. See, even there, you can see the little gray band. Here, wait. If you move a little bit. Clear as day. That there's no way the hood goes that far down from where the pistol can't even sit that high in the holster. And what causes it
also
look,
difficult
there,
to say what
right there. You can see you can kind of
is.
just barely see the hood as you're going. You can see how there's a bump there. Can you see my mouse?
No, we can't see the mouse.
Okay. So if you look at it, there's a little bit of a bump. And let me try doing it with the YouTube stream because I think you'll see my mouse. Do you see my mouse on the screen? Okay.
Yep.
So we'll do it with this because it'll be a little bit easier. So you can see the little bump of the hood right there. It's very almost imperceptible. Excuse me, imperceptible.
Jesus Christ, bro. You're fucking disgusting. Stop eating before you get on the air.
It's almost imperceptible, but you can see as we go. And then there's nothing that would have gone in the trigger guard is the thing, right? Because that's SIG's argument. All they're doing is they grab his feet and he hits the holster and the gun goes off. So he's just kicking it. And you can see here, look, the pistol's in that holster. Because if it wasn't, you have that thumb protector, right? And the pistol would have to be here. Let me. Nah, actually, I don't know if I have one like that. But so the point is, it's in there, like it's in the holster. Yeah, there, the hood. You can see the hood right there. That's a tourniquet. That's a tourniquet holder all day long.
All right, I just cranked. The
You want to share your screen?
Yeah, I will. Just give me a sec. It's really tough to see, but not on exactly that image. But that looks like a fucking tourniquet to me, man. Hold on, I'll share. I'll share the image. Color.
I mean,
it's that knowing. Listen, guys. It's an NAR. Here, I'll
North American Rescue cat.
Let me see. Share a screen. Okay, let me click that open, and we can share that screen. Share screen.
Here, let me grab something. 1 second.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think you guys are gonna. I think you. I know. I know what your opinion is, Larb. I think you don't care. See, I like kind of blew it up a little bit. I mean, that looks like a time time slot on
time
a
strap of
a
a
time
tourniquet.
strap.
Oh yeah, and you can really see the
The
hood
You
there.
can see it. It's right there.
It's very distinctly round with the color gradient there. You can very
Yeah.
tell, like very much so tell.
And
that
that's
it's
obviously a
round.
tourniquet.
That's
Yeah, I
so obviously a tourniquet. But the thing is that I'm having a hard time telling is whether or not the frame, the grip of the pistol is that, I can't tell the separation between, his uniform and the black frame of the pistol. So it's hard to tell if it's seated properly
So
or not.
if the hood's engaged, it has to be seated properly because now I don't have any 320s, but because I like my dong where it is. But
you have a little bit of play. You can get it out just a touch, but that's still not enough to.
yeah, and the thing
much
is,
of
so
anything.
I have a thumb protector on my Safariland here, and if the pistol like was out to where the trigger's exposed, you would be blocking the thumb protector, right? Yes, it's a Glock, not a 320, but if we look at here on the YouTube video, you can clearly see the thumb protector is above the hood. Like, see, that's the thumb protector right there, and that's the hood. Just like,
you know what I'll do? Let me get I'm going to
here.
take a screenshot of that as well, and then I'll put it in the chat while we're. How far in the video? 14.
I took a screenshot. Let me pull up that one.
Oh, I see it now, clear as day. Hold on one second, boys and girls. Hold on, I got it. It's right here. All right, click.
That and then hide, present.
Boy, technology.
Stop screen, present, share screen, window, this. Okay, so if we look at this bad boy right here, you can see the hood.
Oh, now I can see that
protector,
frame.
the tourniquet.
I have about 88 freaking Safarilands level 3s, and that looks seated.
So, I mean, looking right here, the hood, the thumb protector, right? I don't have a tourniquet on this one, but that's the thing, right? That is so dirty that SIG has released it like that. Like, and I was like, when Brianna first sent it to me, I'm like, it's possible that perhaps that's what occurred, but no, there was nothing. And then they're saying, oh, that model of holster, something can get in the trigger guard. Any holster, something could get in the trigger guard, but like, it's very difficult on Safarilands. Like, they're probably some of the best.
Well, let's also talk about this for a second. Chances are, and here let me just show you a little bit of a different angle, which I think supports what you're saying. Granted, I don't know. You know what I mean? We weren't there, but chances are, guys, is that this officer seated his pistol in the morning and went out and never pulled it during the course of the day. So, I mean, that looks pretty seated to me.
I mean, it looks very similar to this, where you have the thumb protector, you have the hood. I mean, it's hard to see, obviously, because it's very zoomed and grainy. But
yeah,
I think it's clear as day. The pistol was in there. Is it possible something throughout his shift, like a piece of mulch or something, got caught in here, and then when it got kicked, it set off the trigger? Perhaps. But what's dirty and disingenuous and is leading me to remove all benefit of the doubt from SIG is the fact that they're lying. Right? They put out this press release, and they're straight up. I mean, maybe someone's making a mistake, but as soon as I saw that, I knew what I was looking at. Right? Because it's the color difference of where the tourniquet. LARP, if you want to pull it up again, just so we can see it.
Take a quick look at what I'm sharing, because I adjusted the color for you a little bit. Like, I brightened it a little. I mean, that's pretty well seated. And if you want to zoom in on, just for the people to see, I know, granted, you have a Glock in there and a SIG, but you should show them, like, just zoom into your own camera, or just put us 4 back up if you wouldn't mind, Midas. Not LARP, not me. Yeah, on you. Yeah, because you have the hood. So let's see that hood, right? So turn to counterclockwise. Yeah, that's fine too. You can see the distance between the top of the hood and the top of the frame, the pistol.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if you look at the two different images, the one that I'm sharing versus what you have there, it's very similar. I'm not saying that that's perfect, because it could just be. You see what I'm saying? It looks seated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it looks fine. because when I watched the original video, I watched it a couple times. And I'm like, okay, is there something that could be wrong here? Because there's that video recently that came out where that female officer on a traffic stop pulled out her gun and ND'd into the air, right? Because she had her finger on the trigger, right?
Mm.
And there's a lot of videos like that where cops are NDing. Totally, yes, it happens. But in this, there's no ND. It just gets kicked. Just the impact sets the gun off.
And you know what? I think to be fair, right? We need to say this, and I think it's true that it's not every SIG 320, right? Because like I just watched this guy yesterday. God, if I could remember, he's like some freelance firearms engineer that works with all these different companies or whatever. And he took 320, like a 320 and a 365 on his workbench, and literally took a mallet out and cocked the gun with dummy rounds in it, of course, right? Like he's not that crazy, and just hit it from every angle, smashed it against like the desk, which had like a piece of leather on the desk or whatever, right? And it didn't go off, right? So granted, I'm not saying every 320 is, but we know about SIG's quality control issues, right? Like I think your video, Midas, if like everyone who hasn't seen it, go to Control the Guns page and just listen to the video where Midas calls SIG about his completely rusted out X macro. They wouldn't even like fix the rust issue. And his FCU was completely rusted out. I mean, they have really funky quality control issues at SIG. We all know that. Like that's been a big complaint. I mean, if you don't know it, now you do. So I wouldn't doubt that, you know, whatever, one out of every X amount is coming out with a issue that's going to cause an ND.
Yeah.
There
You can
is
see where
one
the
thing
gun
on
goes
that.
off right here.
Go ahead, Brianna.
I actually remember when I bought mine, and they phrased it very tactfully now that I think about it, because at first I was like, oh, that, and I don't remember the exact verbiage, but when I got mine, I remember getting a notice from SIG saying, hey, you know, check your serial number of your 320.
Mhm.
You may be eligible for, you know, this upgrade, you know, and they kind of did it, I would say, that way to maybe get some of them back in that they maybe thought had a problem. Because
Yep.
like connecting the dots now, I think that's absolutely what they were doing. Mine didn't get queued for that issue.
Mhm.
I haven't had an issue, but also, I mean, realistically, I'm not using it every day to the extent that, you know, these guys are, if that's their duty weapon and they're carrying it. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Well, and
go
so
ahead.
if you look- what was the Genghis Khan, that competition shooter,
Gunga.
or his went off in the holster? He had
Yeah.
witnesses. He didn't have it on video, but it was holstered. Like he had just shot around a stage, holstered it. His hands were like up like this, I think, for like a surrender position or whatever on a stage, and it went off in the holster with witnesses. And it was like a standard, like, you know, competition like holster, like a quality holster. And you know, with that, and his serial number was supposedly one of the good ones, right?
Okay.
So I think I like a lot of SIG's products. I liked the macro. I liked shooting the macro. It was comfortable to carry. It was a good pistol on paper, but in practice, a lot of quality control issues. And SIG, you know, just kind of I soured my experience with that.
Now, I just want to say something to be fair, okay? The comparison, right? Like, okay, so you all know I'm a Johnny Glock's freak. Pretty much every single one of my Glocks has a Johnny Glock trigger in it, except for one which I like. I'm gonna plunk down the $370 for that trigger for that Glock because it is chef's kiss. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful, but. I have this sitting right here on my desk. So Johnny Glocks recently had to send me a new trigger shoe for the slimline Glock because I had one for my 43X MOS. And on it, I got this from Johnny Glocks. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't order a new trigger. What the hell is this? And it's like big and it's red, right? You know, and it says right here, we have decided to issue you this new trigger shoe to replace your current 43X 48 trigger shoe. This is due to recently measured tolerance variances in the slimline frames. We strongly recommend you comply as it concerns a potential safety issue. It's all in like highlighted in red down there in the middle, like that middle line right there. It's all red.
Did you have the Vex trigger shoe or the OEM?
I have the Vex. I like
What'd
the
they send
Vex. They sent me another Vex, yeah, of course,
Okay.
because I plunked down on the cash for that. So this new shoe will have more pre-travel. However, it is absolutely necessary to remedy the issue. You can safely use the replaced shoe in any double-stacked frame. So this is Johnny Glocks. This is like a small-time company compared to a SIG, obviously. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to SHOT Show. I have multiple occasions. Bro, like the Glock booth is something to behold. Yo, the SIG booth, it is SHOT
Wasn't it
Show.
2 stories one year?
Oh yeah, it was 2 stories the last time I went, which was early 2020, right before the thing happened. Like the whole, like the main portion of the floor. I mean, you're talking about 12 miles of guns. I would say a huge freaking portion of the main floor is the SIG booth, man. They got some dough at SIG. And this is Johnny Glocks. I never woke up one day and said, hey, I don't notice the pre-travel in my 43X, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have any issues with it either. I didn't, like, I've been pointing that thing at my, my twig and berries for quite some time now. So, when I'm ready, I have other guns, so I carry the other ones, but I'll just plunk down and sit down with this thing this week and like switch that out probably tomorrow or something. But that's like small-time Johnny Glocks going, I am so concerned about my customers, because his tagline is something like reliable, predictable, safe, whatever it is, right? Like his aftermarket trigger is known to be the best of the best. That's why you're paying almost the cost of a Glock for a freaking trigger. And I'm going to tell you, it is the best. But that guy was like, yo, I'm going to produce a butt ton of Vexes that are in the proper tolerances to send out to my customers. I'm going to go through whoever bought Vexes from me in the last year, and I'm going to send them all one. Oh, okay, I need 180 or 3,080, whatever it was. He did it.
And those are normally $80 triggers.
Yes, I didn't ask.
Just the Vex shoe on its own.
I didn't call. I didn't do shit. With SIG, it's well known throughout the industry, and this is not like, bro, I had a SIG P320X compact, right? And I loved it. And I said to myself, man, Glock better catch up soon, because SIG is coming in hot. This gun is so dope. Oh my God, the trigger, right? What everyone said when they were coming out. But it's also a well-known industry thing that SIG does their all their R&D on their customers. They like release some stuff, and they're like, our engineer says it's good. And that's it. It goes
it's
out
like
to
video
everyone.
games at day one launch.
Right.
No,
Legit.
10,000 patches to fix it.
Legit. So
but instead, it's a gun that you point at your reproductive organs.
Or you're listen. What if you're pointing it at someone, and it's a shoot no shoot, and you're trying to decide whether to shoot, and then it goes off worse than shooting it at your twig and berries. What if you shoot your kid? What if it's a hostage thing, right? And they got your kid, right? Like, I'm just saying, guns don't need to be going off on their own. So lo and behold, long and short, that's Johnny Glocks. I just showed you guys. I just read that, and that is a small potato compared to freaking maybe what is it, $1 billion company, SIG? I don't know.
Easily.
I would say from their
all the
perspective,
military contracts they got,
yeah,
I'm sure.
they do have a ton. But
And they make some interesting products. I like a lot of their products. I like a lot of the things they make. Like the spear, I kind of want to get one of those. One of their new rifles, but
with the barrel that the self-appointing barrel.
Once they fix that issue,
did they fix it?
I don't know. Supposedly they've sent out fixes to people. I actually forgot it had that issue.
Why does it have that issue?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
$3,000 on a gun,
and some cases more than that. They had a $10,000 package at a local range here for the spear. It came with a couple different, accessories with it, obviously, but that's pretty ridiculous. I'd say, like, comparing businesses, though, from what you were saying, it sounds like, they're being a lot more proactive, and for them, they may not have the backing to fight some of these accusations, whereas SIG, just like we're talking, they're a much bigger company, so they may, be like, oh, well, we can fight all this and prove it, how we need to prove it to continue to do business.
So here's the
is that Lucas's thing? Whoa,
no,
look at that, bro! Look at that! Oh my God! You know what that is? That's another exploding gun.
Oh my gosh,
dude! Come on, man. And you see what I mean? Like, I was on board. Like, I gotta admit, like, I was watching what GBRS was doing, and then I was like, well, I gotta go hold one of these SIGs, right? You know, and I gotta hold one of these new SIGs. Like, I'm a Glock guy. Let me go hold these SIGs. And I was like, like, you know that feeling when you're like, my life has been a lie up until this moment. Like when I first held a SIG, I was like, this is dope, and I was carrying that thing and everything like that. Okay, and guess what? There was multiple lawsuits. So I'm like, oh, look at these cops shooting themselves. Ha ha ha. You know, they need more training, police, blah, blah, blah. You know, we could all make our little jokes and stuff, whatever. But, if there's smoke, there's fire, I think, at a certain point. And there's over 400 plaintiffs now in the in that larger case that's happening. So they're still, as far as I know, they're still going to court. Nothing's been disproven, right?
I think it's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't think anything has, but I think it's unfortunate though. Just like, I mean, in any scenario you have where people are filing lawsuits, it's like, it stinks because I'm sure you have people that are claiming it that really did misuse it and are like, oh, well, I can say it wasn't my fault because there's this issue going on. And it's hard to weed out like what really is a problem versus like someone didn't have their finger clear of the trigger when they were reholstering and shot themselves in the leg by accident, or, you know, prematurely put their finger on the trigger while drawing. Unless you've got, you know, actual videos of every single incident.
That's what SIG needs to do. They just need to start issuing cameras with all their guns and start an evidence trail to cover their own butt.
What was that like pistol light that had a camera in it?
I have one of those. Where the heck is
thing?
it? Oh man, I used to throw it on my M&P just for funsies, but I'll have to find it. Let me find out the name of that thing. Give me like a minute or two. Come with a V.
The Venom.
Viridian.
Viridian.
Yeah, they need those on all of the SIGs, but pointed at the trigger or something.
How about they just make a gun that literally like the military didn't have to like replace 1 billion FCUs or whatever they bought, like, because, you know, listen, granted, we all know that there are some great guns that are out there, you know, that like Glocks and stuff that have had their issues, and Lemons that come off the line and everything. It's just another product like anything else, but like it just seems, and I want to love them. I want to be like, you know what, my Glock is antiquated. This SIG is amazing. But you know what all Glock now has to do, for F's sake, is put like a serial number on there, serialize their FCU. That's it. That's all Glock has to do now, is serialize the FCU.
It's very easy for Glock to have an FCU because the
whole thing comes out.
The trigger housing comes out for the trigger. All they really need to do is like make the slide release and the locking block and the trigger all connect, and they basically have the same thing. But unlike a lot of other guns like HKs where you have like 100 springs and little pieces and stuff, or older SIGs where you pull like one thing out, another thing, Glock, it all comes out all together once you push out 2 or 3 pins depending on the generation. But if we look at this video here, so it's like some sort of thing. Guy pulls out a gun. Wait, let's see. Trying to find the point where it goes off. So you can't see what happens. It looks like his finger's off the trigger, though.
Yeah, his finger's up on the slide. Yeah. He's like that old school, like, remember Corey from oh, there it is. Hold on.
I mean, that's how I have my,
Look at LARP. What's LARP holding up?
Oh, here, let's pull
that
up
looks
LARP.
Like a good old Glock FCU.
Yep.
Look at it. It's so beautiful, so simple. Gaston, I love you.
Yeah, so all they have to do is like make the locking block and the slide release, and like if that could all be like one piece all together.
Right.
That's all they need. And with the new performance trigger, doesn't the trigger basically stay in there anyways?
This is the performance trigger.
Oh,
yeah, that's so.
All right. I mean, listen.
It does still come out, but it's a little bit more involved to get this one out.
I got to be honest with you. It would be so dope if they could do that, because anytime I'm stippling a Glock or whatever, or like the couple times that I've done it, I'm like sitting there literally sweating and praying that this doesn't, fail me now. You know what I mean? And I have to be one of those guys that, I messed up and I had to send it to so and so. But so far so good, no issues.
But this looks very much like finger off the trigger.
Yeah.
It's up on the slide, bro.
Yeah.
It's up on a slide.
And this is the thing, right? There's people on Instagram that Pete and I know well who are adamant that there's never been any evidence whatsoever that the 320s have gone off on their own and they're perfectly safe and they're basically,
that dude's not a bad guy. He's just really into his SIG.
He's just insane.
But listen,
this statement is basically like his motto,
right?
And it's
we have a word for those people. Are we allowed to say that word?
You've asked this question before. I don't care.
They're siggers. They're gosh darn siggers, man.
This is Glock country. Move on.
I feel like I'm in the wrong group of people.
Well, you're just freaked out because you're in Florida. You guys have roots.
Don't get me wrong. I carry a SIG, but
We
my
like to
work
live in the
issues
edge.
me a Glock. So
And that's the thing. I don't think it's every SIG. I don't think it's the 365s, but for me, it was just like it was all the stuff that we're reviewing now.
Yeah.
And mainly my bad customer service experience with SIG. That's really what turned me off from them. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point, like I'm probably going to clip what we just talked about and post it separately as a video because like straight up SIG lied. They literally lied and pulled something out of their ass and then made a post on social media about it, claiming that, totally,
I feel like the police department should definitely post, what that officer was using as his holster, because I mean that would absolutely end.
So it's clearly a Safari Land.
Yeah,
I'm honestly, I don't know if I will do this, but I'm gonna see if I can call that police department and speak to like someone in like their public relations officer or whatever and be like, hey, SIG put out this statement. We reviewed it. I'm pretty sure they're lying about your officer. Because all he needs to show is like, yeah, this is the way my holster's set up. It has the tourniquet thing on it.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, you can see it clear as day.
But,
even in the picture,
they're not going to say anything, especially if there's legal action pending.
I would no. I'm just going to tell them, be like, hey, like they should know, hey, SIG's literally lying about you guys. Like that's like
they
that's
probably
like
are already well aware. But
they're aware.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
like
SIG
that
put
guy
this
doesn't
out.
look like a rookie either. To be honest with you, it's not like his.
He has
didn't he have
I
a
think
bunch
those
of
are, like,
bars?
lieutenant or captain bars or whatever.
Jeez.
I don't know all the rank shit, and depends because some agencies and like different branches of the military, it's different things. So I have no idea how this works, but I like it's pretty, and they may already know. I don't know because when was this press release? This was today, right?
Yeah.
This press release, so it's pretty fresh, pretty recent. I mean, it'd be interesting to call them, kind of like from that journalist angle and be like, hey, I'm investigating this story. And, is there anything you guys can say? And this is what SIG's saying, and they're clearly lying from what I'm able to see, right? And that's the thing. It's like, if SIG said, we don't think it's our fault, whatever. But this is the thing. Now, they've generated a new lawsuit because essentially it's like defamation because you're putting out a public statement saying that this officer was improperly using equipment and caused this, right? So you're lying, saying this is what occurred and it's this person's fault. Now, maybe there was something else that was his fault, but they are articulating something that is clearly a lie. I mean, that's a pretty low bar.
It's a low bar, especially, honestly, like, look, you could bust cops' chops, all day long, bust their balls about this and this and that, whatever. I get it. But let's be real, man. The one thing that cops shouldn't have to worry about out there is their equipment, like shooting them inadvertently. You know what I mean? They got enough stuff going on, man. They got most places in the country, their municipalities are against them right now. You got the public, who has no respect for the law anymore. And on top of a bust being hard enough these days, now on top of everything, there's SIG that their department probably mandated that they all switch to.
That department switched to Glocks after this
they
incident.
spent like what 20 or 40 grand.
They bought like 35 or 40 Glocks. But
Yeah.
luckily, no one was hurt by. You can see where that trajectory. So hopefully, no one was injured.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
it
it's hard to
ricocheted this
say.
to the other guy.
Is that the bullet or is that just a spark coming out? You don't know for sure.
I think because you can see the little glowing.
Mm.
I think that's
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
that would be the trajectory of the pistol. Of the
Yeah.
round.
Be.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, it could be like, you get, sometimes you get a good flame coming out at the front end, but I was saying, like, if that's usually,
Makes sense from where he'd be. Like, once
Yeah.
you get, it makes sense to go that way. And the thing is, like with Safari Lands, you have this plug normally at the bottom here.
right. I am blasted right through the plug. I mean, obviously, it's
The
plastic.
plug is just to stabilize the pistol.
Yeah.
It's
But-
just plastic.
Yeah.
But actually, let me get something because I actually have something available. I'll be right back.
I just find it, I don't know, man. I find it appalling for SIG to make a public statement. But then again, I find it appalling when they don't make a public statement, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
just a way to handle it too. Like we said before, they could have just said, like, oh, the facts of the case aren't in, but we're very certain that our high quality pistols that are in the hands of millions of customers and professionals are not not exploding due to our high standards and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? There's a way to say nothing without insulting the entire department.
I
Not
think
cool.
too, like, even from, I mean, obviously firearm manufacturers, that's a highly regulated industry. Like,
Mhm.
if they don't think it is, it definitely should be. It's like, I think a good way to have handled this would be like, or for any of these people that have these issues in a holster, it's like, if you want to prove or disprove your position, ask them to send in the holster and test it.
Yeah,
Prove your point.
yeah, and also, I just Googled the Montville, Connecticut population, which is 18,716. Now, if it's true that this entire department swapped and paid $40,000 for whatever amount of Glocks or whatever that they just bought,
Yeah, 20 or
that's a
40.
small department to be spending that kind of money in a town of 18,000, which is not really smallest, but it's not tremendous either. You know what I mean?
Number.
Yeah, like I wonder what that municipality allocates to funding these guys to begin with. They have these SIGs that they spent money on. They're not necessarily old, but they're not the newest, they're not the oldest, these guns, right? So imagine now, like, you being so freaked out by what just happened, you just take a good chunk of your budget in a town of 18,000 and then invest it back into Glock. Freaky,
So
man.
I had to go on a little quest to get this. This is a SIG 320 holster.
Yeah.
So I don't have any 320s, but I found a holster in my house. And it's the same design as the Glock one, right? For anyone who wanted to be like, oh, no, it's the same thing, right? Same. Mine just has like the reflective. It's a different coating,
Just a
but it's the
different
same
model
thing,
for the
same
same model,
style. The hood's gonna be
different,
in the same place,
yeah.
and even it will. If you look, I don't know if you can really see it, but here it actually says, what we got here. Fireland TLR1 X300 SIG P320 right here.
Yeah. Usually it's written on there.
Anyways,
Yep.
it's a 320 SIG holster. It's the same. My lighter's
So
gone.
Brianna made a good point while you were on the quest, The Legend of Zelda, there, where she said that it would have behooved SIG to perhaps ask for the holster in question so that their engineers can look through the holster, see if there's any sort of trigger contact, so on and so forth. I remember seeing one video because I was so freaked out by this when I still was in possession of a SIG X Compact, and I remember seeing this one video, and one guy was saying that the disconnect is supposed to be like whatever millimeters to
it's too long or something or too short.
Yeah, exactly. And it's supposed to be, I'm just throwing numbers out of my ass, guys. So it's supposed to be like 5 millimeters, and it was like 1 or 2 or something like that, or 1.5 to the point. And that's what gives the trigger that like short pull and that nice kind of clean kind of feeling, so that there's not all this mushy take up and everything. So is that sacrifice to get that clean trigger feel a sacrifice in safety, I wonder? And granted, like I will say for our friend on the internet who defends them to the end,
He who shall not be named.
he shall not be named. The dude is right in the sense that millions of people use them every day. So I'm getting into this position where I'm in the gun industry more and more deeply, and I'm kind of having this like thing where can I recommend SIG, right? Like, can I recommend to people to use SIG? And it really bothers me because this is a question that, like, if I say to my friend, yo, like, if the SIG fits your hand best, then go with that. Cause that's usually my line. Like, I say, like, you have to try different guns in your hand. Like, I have these big paws, right? So, like, for me, my best shooting, my best fitting gun is a Glock 45. I just find it so controllable with the shorter barrel and the right. And yeah. And I'm putting an acro on mine in like a week. So I'm so excited. And so, like, I love that gun. It just fits my hand so perfect. And I could shoot that gun blind and probably hit what I'm aiming at, right? That's the kind of feel I want to give to potential friends who are looking for guns, clients, customers, whatever. I want to say to people, yo, like, try this. Okay, that didn't work. Try that. How does that feel? Does that feel like home to you? Because like there's that feeling when you put a gun in your hand, right? Like you want it to fit your hand properly, or else you're probably not going to shoot it that well. And there's a few reasons for that. Like, you know, obviously grip angle, how big is the grip, what's the circumference of the grip, how big are your hands, so on and so forth, right? There's a lot to that. And it's individual for every single person. So I want to be able to say to people, yo, the SIG 320 is proven and this, and that. It's got a great trigger. It's modular. The FCU is great. And also, you know, you can get it stippled and not have to worry, blah, blah. But it's getting harder to do that. And I just want to tell people, yo, their hammer fired shit's unbelievable. Like, I have a 226 that is my bedside honey. Like, that thing is just chef's kiss, and it's the Mark 25, the Navy one, like with the coating and all that shit on it. I want a 229 Legion, right? I want that so bad, like to carry. Like, I fuck with that heavy. The SAO with the manual safety, that is also chef's kiss. But yeah, I wanted a macro to carry every day. That's the gun I wanted to carry every single day. And after this guy had his experience, I was like,
so really quick as well, because a lot of people be like, why would a lieutenant have like a tourniquet holder sort of thing? Like normally lieutenants sometimes don't even, well, like a lieutenant normally is a more administrative role. So they're not.
Sure.
What if you get an all hands on deck? So what?
I know. But normally they're if you've been in if you've been in a police department or you know a lot of police stuff, especially smaller agencies like New York or somewhere massive like NYPD, I don't know what their lieutenants do, but smaller agencies normally lieutenants are more administrative jobs. I was wrong. Those aren't lieutenant bars. Those are like collar brass. Because you can see here, this is a sergeant. He has a gold badge.
Okay.
So normally supervisors and like higher ranks have gold badges. And this guy has a standard silver badge. So it's probably just an officer who had his vest off because they're at the police department. And it makes more sense because you can see he has all those keys and stuff here. And a lieutenant normally, you know, I thought they might be a lieutenant or something first because they're not wearing a vest, but I think it's just an officer who took off his vest. And it makes more sense that like an officer who's going on patrol every day probably has a tourniquet holder. A lieutenant who may not be on patrol, I don't know, but this guy's probably not a lieutenant. He probably is just an officer. But that was just something I just realized while I was rewatching the video again. But overall, I think it's just it's a shitty situation of all the 320 stuff, absolutely. But I think companies can make mistakes and they can have issues, and as long as they correct them, that's fine. But when they go out of their way to lie and defame people and saying, no, you used our product wrong and you're unsafe, now we're starting to have some issues, right? They're legitimately lying in an effort to save their ass instead of just admitting the truth.
But they're also allowed to defend themselves. Maybe that's how they legitimately feel. Like, I'm just to play devil's advocate, but taking the piss out of an officer that way, I think is kind of like a shitty cop out, Like,
yeah.
And here's the other thing, like, whenever you see a cop, like today, I was I had to go down to the PD to handle a permit that I needed, and I saw a cop walk by, and there he was. I'm sitting down waiting for this woman to come to the window, and there's this cop. He walks by, and I'm looking at his gun because I like to look at equipment and stuff, and he's rigged out, and he's got like a vest in the gun, and I think he's in some sort of attack unit for my local area, and you know, you look at the gun and you want to go like, oh, look at that. That's a solid rig. That guy's a solid individual. He's a professional. It's a solid rig he's working with. He's got all the right gear, the kydex, like, you know, like he can get in and out of his vehicle. And now if you like think like, well, is he carrying his, like if I'm his partner and all of a sudden he decides to switch to SIG because he heard it's the cat's meow, and I'm like seeing this video, I'm on this podcast. Yo, man, like it just kind of freaks me out because that thing can go off in my direction. Now I'm in the patrol car with you all day long, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna have to sit there and roast you for your gun, and I'm not even sure what's going on. So it would just behoove SIG, I feel it would behoove them to have so much like data like that they pour out, right? Like I would say, well, that's impossible because if you see that what we did here to correct the first drop safe issue, and then since then we've done this, and since then we've done that, and like they just haven't. It's been silence up until like, oh, let's roast this small department of a town of 18,000 people.
Well, and the other issue with all of this is, you know, SIG saying that with that, and it's just, you know, they could have been like, oh, well, the holster of Safariland, there is a slight chance, you know, I have something small that can go in here, you know, where something could go, there's a little bit of a gap right here where something could go in either side. It's possible, right? Like you could get, so I can get this pen, I can come in here, and
for the love of God, make sure that's unloaded.
I know it's unloaded, but I wanted to cock the trigger first because it was a dead trigger.
Just put the pen in there and see what goes on.
So now, because of the way the Glock safety is, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this to go off.
Can you slide the gun up and down with the pen in the trigger guard and see what happens?
Well, I mean, there's really barely any play in the holster, so.
Well, maybe because that's the way the Glock is formed up or whatever.
So, but the thing is, I can't.
You just did it?
I just did it. But here's what had to happen.
I heard it.
I had to pull it back. And no, this is my 45. This is a very stock Glock trigger.
Okay.
So in order to get it to happen, I had to release the thumb button, the thumb brake there, slide it back, and get something this small and stiff in there, just right.
Okay, with an Allen key and the SLS disengage, the ALS disengaged, I can do it.
Right, because to disengage the SLS, you're gonna remove
with all the safeties
trigger guard out of the holster enough that you can expose the trigger.
If all the safeties engaged, even a stiff Allen key, it's not happening, right?
So all the way seated forward.
I'm surprised Safariland doesn't come out and say some shit like, "Yo, that ain't our fucking holster, bro." Like they've been providing
the dingus because obviously on a Glock, if I don't hit the dingus, it ain't gonna. No matter how hard I pull, it ain't gonna go off.
Yo, LARP, can you do me a favor because your camera's a little brighter? Can you take your holstered G45 there? Bring it right up to like, you know, here. All right, exactly. A little higher. And then disengage. Okay, drop the hood and disengage the ALS and pull it out just a little bit. Right? Till we see, see that? That's what, well, a little further back, right? Like that's when you start seeing the trigger guard right there. You'd have to pull the gun out that much just to expose the trigger guard enough to get something in there, which is what you did before with the, I just want people to really clearly see that, right? Like you'd have to pull the trigger, less than that, but like you'd have to pull the trigger out pretty far to get it to for some debris to get in there and cause that issue.
I'm trying really hard. I can't get it to do it without disengaging like the ALS. And even then, you have to try really hard, and you have to have a very stiff metal object.
When the ALS engages, it's only because the trigger guard is completely covered by the entirety of the holster.
But even then, you have the SLS, and it's very hard to get in there. Like,
now here's an alien gear.
Yep.
Still, you can't see the trigger guard, but
their triggers are easier to get to.
There's a big open thing, and I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. Because in order to get something in there, I'm gonna be paranoid for a second. Yep.
You can use your finger on the alien gears. I can do it.
Kinda. Ow, fuck.
And by the way, wouldn't something, think about this too, pulling the Midas, can you, if you're pulling the gun out of the holster, you'd be actually going against the way it would fire. If you're reholstering and there's something in the guard, then yes, of course, the gun might fire. He did neither nor. He did what every single person who's had an issue with the SIG says happens. It went off on its own in the holster.
So in the alien gear, just playing devil advocate, if I go in here, I can do it. Ow, that hurt. But I can do it on the alien gear. And this is something I think I discussed in my review of the alien gear. I love the alien gear holster. Still my favorite duty holster out there. Yeah. But it is more possible. You still have to really try.
I don't know, man. Something is not right. And I think SIG's tired of getting beat up on, and that's why they came out the gate hot with this cop. And it was not the right move. If I was them, I just would be like, this is why our shit doesn't stink. And I would I would show all kinds of data sheets, and
they don't have that data to show.
And let people right. So that just causes the whole shit to stink even more. That they're resorting to throwing hands on the internet, the equivalent of slap boxing with a cop on the internet. You know what I mean?
So I'm not here to simp for RFK Jr. Right? We're not going to get in that thing, but if you guys know, obviously the whole thing in which he sued the NIH. Saying where's the data showing that vaccines are like all these vaccines that are like recommended and almost mandated for children are safe, and they said it's there, and then when he sued them, they couldn't produce it. Right? SIG's gonna be the exact same thing, where there's no evidence that the P320 is safe.
Also, where is the ATF on this whole thing? Because like FDA, they actually investigate this kind of thing to make sure your shit's. So I mean, they have an acceptable amount of rat shit in your food, but what's the acceptable amount of NDs, well, not even like what's the acceptable level of ADs or
drop safe issues or corrosion and rust issues, which
and
could
I think
cause
in this industry it needs to be 0. I mean, same thing for the FDA. I mean, I don't want any rat shit in my food.
Well, to be fair, the FDA has approved some pretty sketchy shit. So and once again, the ATF has better things to do than to go after actual faulty firearms. What they're going to do is say if you put a brace on your gun, it turns it into a machine gun or whatever bullshit.
That's not what we need them to do. We need them to do this.
Yeah, if they're going to exist, can they at least be useful?
Yeah, for real.
Part of the problem in this, though, is if SIG's not classifying it as an issue, it doesn't necessarily go against their ratios, because you're going to have like your, good guns, and then you have your failures, and that's, the percentage that you would be looking at to cue you to investigate it to, come up with a resolution if that percentage isn't high enough. But
we investigated ourselves and found that we are not at fault.
Exactly. If they're classifying it as operator error, they're not putting it into that failure category to even get it to the point of looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, look at it this way too. Think about it from a business standpoint as a company. Just let's take, I don't know, let's say there was a company named Blizer, right? And let's say they put out something that caused you to have, heart conditions, right? I mean, this is completely fictional. This never happened. I'm just saying, like, let's say they put out a pill, and this pill was supposed to help you with one thing, but it gave you a heart condition, right? And they made, let's just say Blizer made billions and hundreds of billions of dollars, more money than they've ever made in the history of God or man, right? Would you think that Blizer would want to, like, keep all the let's say all this, like, there's all this anecdotal evidence coming out, right? But it's just weird stuff, like, I don't know, 18-year-old kid drops like from a cardiac arrest on a basketball court. Not that this has happened in real life, not that I know of anyway. Let's just say it keeps happening. Like 1,300 athletes are having cardiac arrests on in the last 2 years, which is like the totality of what it is in the last 15 years. Let's just say that could probably ruin and destroy all of Blizer for the remainder of the entire future. Blizer would no longer be a company from all the people that have taken the Blizer pill, right? So now extrapolate that out to SIG, right?
And SIG has all these government contracts, like that fictional Blizer company might have ties to the government. And so the regulatory agency for SIG, which would be the ATF, who knows what their links are? Because if a company has a links to the government, I mean,
I don't know what the ATF's role is, honestly, in that capacity. I wish it would be their role, is to, test
I don't think they actually look for safety of firearms or anything like that.
No,
You
they
know.
don't. I'm pretty sure
I mean,
it's regulatory issues.
Passed the military trials, even though it failed, and they had to bring in a new version.
Right.
And
It
then
just came in at the
passed.
right price. They just came in at the right price. But the point is, right? Like, you imagine what would happen with a life-saving / life-taking product, right? With a pistol that millions have bought or have been issued this item. Now imagine what would happen to SIG if all of a sudden one day, like I woke up that one day and was like, I can't carry this X compact anymore. It's if there's a fraction of a chance, as we said before when LARP was on the show prior, Brianna, and you're gonna have to excuse me, and I'm not gonna be a gentleman for this one moment here, but if I have a 1% chance of shooting my dick off, or a fraction of a 1% chance of shooting my dick off, that's a fraction of a percent too high. Like, I need to keep this. I need to keep this. So LARP didn't mind if he shot his off because he was like, well, now I own SIG, so this is great. But
they're gonna get me that Robo one. It's gonna do my laundry. It's gonna do my dishes. It's gonna be the next greatest self-defense
But
tool.
LARP,
I won't even have
will
to touch
they?
it. It'll
Because
just
think
Freak,
about
and I
it.
have
but
a
will
bunch.
they? Yes, good point.
That's the thing, because you have this
Good point,
one
Midas.
video we saw where the cop had his finger like here,
Yeah.
like it was like almost higher, so it was like this almost.
Yeah.
And and it was such a high bore axis gun, his finger was still super high up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think SIG's done anything with that, and he got shot. And then this thing where someone could have been injured, right? And what's interesting in their statement, right? And this kind of goes back one of my Zinc Point videos, and both of them people say, "Oh, you sent them the evidence, all this stuff," which yeah, I did, right? I'm not denying that. Like, I get in good faith was like, okay, this company's gonna resolve the issue. They didn't. They're scumbags. I have a third and final update on that coming out soon.
Information, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. They might try and kill me.
Hey, yo, wait for the new information, yo. About to drop.
But anyways, with their statement, right? We regret the involved agency jumped to conclusions regarding the cause of the discharge without first carefully examining the footage of the incident and providing 6 hours for an opportunity to assist in the examination of the involved firearm. They shouldn't. They should not give.
We investigated ourselves and found that we are not at fault.
Yeah, right. It's like when the ATF investigates themselves after they
let's
kill
leave the
people in their
ATF.
families.
Let's leave the ATF out of it, man. There's so many more. There's so many more big fish that you could fry, man.
Oh yeah, I'm just
like Congress investigating itself. Like,
yeah.
oh, we
investigated the fact that we
investigated
trade
and we need a raise.
Billions of dollars.
We need a raise.
We need a raise.
And
We've
no
investigated
one
ourselves.
in trouble.
After our deep investigation of ourselves, we decided that we don't have a living wage as Congress, so we really need to.
God, can you imagine?
Kind of what goes on though.
After Joe Biden's own DOJ that he appointed investigated him and found him completely not a total scumbag.
Right. Look, all I'm saying is, right? Imagine the economic repercussions if, for example, some court somewhere, and it's still a possibility that they find SIG responsible for this, and that let's just say they essentially give you the wrap up where any SIG firearm is a ticking time bomb, right? What do you think? What if they said that publicly, and now they've addressed the issue publicly, and some court of law says, if you're holding a SIG right now, watch your twig and berries because that thing will maybe go off on you. Well, everyone would be like, yo, SIG, take this shit back. As a matter of fact, I don't even want you to fix it. I want my money back. I'm suing. SIG would cease to exist unless that particular product came off the shelves, and they've based their entire identity, SIG. Like that meme, like when boys are young, they base their identity on only 4 things. It's like one's like the Incredible Hulk, one's like a muscle car, one's like a firefighter, SIG has based their entire like everything pretty much off of the 320, the 365 series, and now their spears and rattlers and stuff. Rattler's dope. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want one.
Did you see Graham Thumb's video of it?
Oh yes.
I was like,
so
that was what cued my friend wanting one, and I was just like, please buy one.
Is this the minor attracted person convention? Oh, okay. I have. You like Lululemon? Here, let me show you what's in my bag.
His sidetrack, but his post today too about how people are only offended when he posts stuff about minor attracted people, aka pedophiles.
Yeah.
It's like,
And the
By the way,
people getting
everyone,
mad
just
at that.
side note, if you haven't seen it already, you should go see Sound of Freedom.
okay. Yeah, I don't movie
If you haven't,
theaters.
guys haven't seen
I
that,
like to watch things in my
highly
own
recommend.
Shout out.
It is definitely an emotional. It gets you emotionally a little bit, but it's a really good movie. Jim Caviezel is a fantastic actor. Just like Passion of the Christ, he's very passionate about his work, and it's a great movie.
Good.
And it's a great cause to support. So,
But yeah, like
I will simp for that movie.
I will tell you, boys and girls, that out there in podcast land, SIG's not going to fold on this. They're going to fight this tooth and nail because this is everything. It's their new identity, which they've invested,
Billions, probably.
yeah, who knows how much they've invested in R&D and well, D, no R. They've invested in that. They contracts with the military, all the stuff that they're doing, right? Like all the hype beast shit going on behind them. Guys like GBRS Group, all this shit. Every week there's a new variant of a variant. The P320X Compact RXP.
I'm not gonna lie.
Chill.
TAC Ops.
TAC Ops. Chill,
The
Sig.
TAC
Chill.
RXP Tactical Ops 99, 69.
Right. So
well, it's the same.
They're
it's
gone
Cohen.
if this
Cohen
goes,
again, who
if
ran
this goes south. They're gone.
Who ran Kimber into the ground. So I'm sure one day SIG is going to crash and burn, and I don't know how long that's going to take, but I think it's almost inevitable.
I don't know if SIG would entirely crash and burn, but I think that they would be pretty much barred from ever producing a striker gun.
They'd be like
again.
Kimber, where their names,
their hammered
ruined.
guns are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Their name,
they're actually superior.
Heard the term, his name is Mudd, right? Dr. Samuel Mudd from Lincoln assassination, where he helped John Wilkes Booth, and so forever his name was soiled. That I think that's how it would become, and how it should be. Honestly, I think SIG should be. Like this, because and it's sad to say, because I like a lot of things they're doing. They have in-house, almost fully American-made optics, right? So we finally, and they have a lot better optics than, and that is something I want to discuss as well. Speaking of optics, I'm gonna bring something up.
Holosun? Are you gonna get mad at Holosun? He's about to get mad at Holosun. I can feel it.
No,
so it's weird. I'll point a SIG at my beans and grits, but I won't touch a SIG optic.
Yeah, me neither.
I like they're coming out with some interesting stuff. Their new optics, the Romeo X or whatever, is interesting. It looks like it should be an enclosed emitter, but it's an open emitter, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I had one that came with my compact. It had the RXP or whatever it was, so it came with it. I have to say the glass was really, really clear, but I felt like one little whack on that thing, like it wasn't like an RMR, it was even thinner than like a Holosun window, like Holosun has that thicker upper thing with the solar panels,
thicker or thinner than a Delta Point Pro though, because the DPPs are made out of just tinfoil.
I don't know, actually. I don't know. But I can tell you that I was not confident in if I dropped that thing, but I didn't care because I was flexing. I was like, yo, look at my new SIG. This shit's fire. And the glass is so clean. Fuck it. We'll do it live. I'll keep this for a minute until it breaks, and then I'll get something, whatever, right? That was my logic. But, I didn't, wait, I thought that the SIG optics are the same company that makes Holosun. I thought they were kind of made.
Yes, but now SIG has an in-house manufacturing facility for optics in New Hampshire or something.
Oh shit, cool.
Which I like. I like, if I have the this is the thing. I will always get the best option, right? Which is why I own a ton of Holosuns. But if there's a good American-made, or at least a non-China-made company like Aimpoint, right? They're not.
Did you just
American.
say that Holosun is the best option?
For some things, like the EPS carry is probably the best enclosed emitter, is the best optic option for a small pistol.
In that size, on that, yeah.
Right. I have one on one of my guns somewhere, but I think it's another room. But when it comes to
it's better than that Trigicon CC, RMR CC, or whatever.
That thing's a fucking joke, right?
That thing's a joke. What, they want $800 for that thing? Like whatever they want. Like, that's fucking, get out of here, man.
I think they were asking 600, which still is no.
Kick fucking rocks, nerds. You're not getting that from me.
It's just so why would I want that? But anyways, so this is what I want to talk about. Speaking of optics, and I don't know, I haven't seen a whole lot of people talking. I saw a lot a couple days ago, but tomorrow, because we're recording this on the 31st, the day that that statement came out, but this will probably be released Wednesday. But this
Oh yeah. Yeah.
abomination, this thing that looks incredibly ugly, but it is Trigicon's enclosed emitter.
It looks like an MPS.
It looks
Only
like
not as cool.
an
I gotta be
ugly
honest with you.
MPS because like
Okay,
Yeah.
doesn't that have an RMR footprint though?
yes.
Huh.
So that's
Why
the most.
How
That's the
dare you
most-
say it's an abomination? It's a enclosed optic with an RMR footprint. This is kind of exactly what we need.
I'll probably buy one. Like, don't get me wrong. But
You fucking gun nerd, bro.
He has to have it for experimental purposes.
Experimental
That's fine.
purposes, right.
I mean, I've
Okay.
done that. I've bought guns that I very intentionally meant to flame on, and then actually turned
So-
out to love
and
them.
then
but-
here's the new
Consumer.
RMR HD, where it's kind of like the SRO and the RMR had a baby.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
this is top loading, bigger window, but the same RMR durability design.
the same owl ears and everything.
And-
Heck,
and-
yeah.
This
and
I
the,
don't care as much
trickle dot.
about because I've reached the point where if I'm running an open emitter, right, even this Holosun, open emitter for me personally is not for serious use, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm on that bandwagon so
So,
hard. If you're running an
Only
open
enclosed emitters are
emitter,
for serious use.
Yeah.
So I'll run an SRO, right?
Wait,
If
serious
it's
use? Are we talking concealed carry for the everyday average citizen, or are we talking
like duty use, like your likelihood.
I
like,
say anything where you other than the only place where I'm fine with open emitters is home defense. For
and you're not
anything
okay with it
going out and
for like concealed carry? Because honestly, like Joey Babatz from around the block is not going to have enough belly button lint to really. And you know what cleans it out?
Okay, I
You're
don't know about
good.
you, but so I've had some optics that have gotten full of gunk and belly button lint and sweat and all sorts of stuff.
Wow,
And
Joey
you draw
Babatz
this
over here.
out and like from one day of carrying, because I when I carried open emitters, I'd clean them. You come out and it's just tons of shit in there. You can't fucking see anything.
Interesting.
You can
I've
still
never heard that.
shoot that just fine. So
Yes, you can still
here's
shoot
where
it.
I stand, because we're gonna go down a deep rabbit hole
But you-
if we
do it,
stay on this
let's
do
topic
it.
for
Don't
long.
threaten
You
me
can
with a
get
good
one
time.
drop or one
Let's
hair
go.
right here at the emitter
course,
diode
of
that
course.
blocks that, and now you lose your dot, right?
But to be fair, bro, like yeah, okay, you're seeing the little star like that looks like this now. You know what I mean? But you could be like, and 9 times out of 10, Gucci Mane,
Yes,
you're
even,
fine.
even if you don't do that, even if it is fuzzy, you can still acquire a sight picture and
Absolutely.
still
I'm not saying
or
it's not usable,
iron.
but I feel like an
options.
enclosed emitter is just it's like why not, right? I don't see an argument other than for competition optics where you can get a bigger window. Why not get an enclosed emitter? There's no.
I've got tons of reasons for you. Price. Typically enclosed emitters are more expensive.
True.
Unobtainium.
Mounting footprint. Not there's such a new technology that not a lot of pistol like your new Springfield Hellcat or your new whatever, like your subcompact concealed carry pistols. Most don't
Size,
come native
EPS
for
carry.
this.
size. Honestly, they're fucking chunky.
They're chunky.
I love my MPS, and I'm about to fucking fall in love with my Acro on my EDC. I mean, bro, Acro's tight,
Acros, baby.
bro, tight.
Hang on.
But honestly, there are some days. Yeah, that shit's fire. I'm not gonna lie. That is. Ooh, is that an C2?
It's a P.
Oh, very sex. I like. But anyway, so like my one of my favorite EDC right now is my Gen 4 Glock 19 with my Zeb slide, and I have a freaking Holosun open emitter on there. And guess what? I carry it all the time. Never had a piece of lint. I mean, yeah, a little spittle in the you know what I mean, like, or a little dirt on the body side of the optic. Yeah, it's pretty easy to clean out. No big deal.
Yeah,
That's a full size handgun you got there, Buckaroo.
It is.
What is that?
EPS carry.
MR920.
Yeah, it's the Shadow Systems. But this is the EPS carry. Ignore this floppy thing. This is the EPS carry, right?
I'll behave.
I'll never get that round back. Anyways, this is the EPS carry, right? It's the 507K Shield RMSC footprint, so it's an easy footprint. Most guns, even the MOS, there's an MOS plate for it. The full-size EPS uses the same footprint. This thing's about $300. Decent size window, right? About the same size as an RMR. So not as big as like a 507, but also this is the one for more for the smaller guns. I just got it because like for concealed carry, I wanted something a little
Smaller.
bit smaller anyways because it's the same width as a 19 slide. Um,
Yeah, Holosun does a
if you
decent
don't
job.
want to support Holosun, I get it, but it exists. This is a common, easy to get footprint. So I understand like trying to get like a 509T or the Steiner or the Acro, but also then if you have like an RMR milled slide, they make pretty low profile adapters that you bolt on and you can do it. So I
Brianna,
think
what are you rocking with? Are you rocking with any red dots or just classic irons? What do you roll with?
My carry is just irons right now because I bought the stupid 365 that doesn't have the cut slide, which is why I'm going to replace it. But my 320, and again, in light of that, has the Holosun on it. I don't know if you can see the
Yeah.
pop up, but
Yeah, that's the 507C probably.
yeah, and I had to get the Mounting Systems Pro adapter plate for it because SIG likes to be a little proprietary on that, and I wasn't buying the Romeo one that fits it.
Yeah, I mean, I like my MPS a lot. I like the glass the most on it. The one thing I noticed with the Holosuns that does throw me off a little bit is because of my previous career in television, I've been looking through lenses for like 30 years now. So when I present on a Holosun, on most of them, like especially on my 509, I have that like a little bit of warping in the glass, you know. So you're really target focused, so you're just trying to put a dot on a target. But sometimes if you're like trying to take a more precision shot, you see it and you're like, ooh, that little womp womp. Never happens with an Acro, never happens with an RMR.
Like I have the first generation, like first year release 509T, and it is very much there's distortion. Like this has a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, mine has a little bit to the APS.
Bad.
Oh, is that irons forward?
Yes, irons forward, master race.
Okay.
This is I had to get this cut. That's why it's Cerakoted.
I see.
Because I got a non-iron or
Anyway,
non-optic shadow system.
Circling back, do you need an enclosed emitter for concealed carry? I don't think it should be a requirement.
No, but I don't. I think there's a million reasons to, and other than price, there's no reason not to.
Yeah. But now, if you're in like a duty role where you're getting paid to wear that gun and getting paid to go
or
interact with ne'er-do-wells,
fair. Yeah, fair.
Then you should probably hold yourself to the highest standard that there is and go with an enclosed.
You know what it is? I think that the industry has seen, and first of all, the evolution, right? So Holosun was like, yo, RMR, Trigicon, hold my beer. I'm going to do everything that EOTech does plus what you do. And now I'm going to mash it into this one affordable optic and go screw you and push this industry forward. And they did. They were total disruptors. It was dope. Fast forward now to like, oh, the closed emitter option is here. So now part of it is like, yes, we've evolved into that spot, but the question is that we should be asking ourselves as consumers, and like if anyone's a professional who gets paid, that's one thing, but as a consumer, when you have your consumerism going on, do I really need this? Like, bro, like, are they just kind of nudging, like, come on, like, you ever see that meme, right? Where like, come on, do a world war, do a thing, yeah. Like, is it the gun industry kind of nudging us? Like, come on.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of crap out there that is that like, oh, you need this, you need that sort of thing. Like the high. I think the biggest thing of that was the high mounts.
No, I rock night vision a lot, and I shoot passive, and I just want
But other than night vision, if you don't, I think these are ridiculous.
Oh no, man, no way. That's not.
I enjoy them. I have one right here. I have them on multiple rifles, but at the same time, I also think this is a little bit this push, like it's like the Hydra
airsoft. What do you mean? What are you talking about? No, hell no. I'm not giving them my money. I bought that Chinesium, $45, baby.
Okay, but I think it kind of went a little bit too far.
Airsoft,
personally.
Airsoft, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you got a tax stamp for that.
You got a tax stamp for
Airsoft guy.
Anyway, but my point is, I think there's trends like this where people get stuff and don't understand what it's for, right?
So
I'm not saying this is inherently bad.
Let me just throw this at you. Besides night vision, which I'll get into in a second, the heads up kind of like the heads up positioning behind the rifle, I think is way more important than most people are considering if they start ragging on that. Now, look, if you got an EXPS EOTech, or if you got your standard height Holosun, yo, man, more power to you. If it's dope and it does the trick, dope. I personally, right, I always felt like I was compressed so deeply behind the rifle, trying to get that cheek weld right here so that I can get that clean sight down the rifle. Now, when I'm up in this position, yeah, I like those nods. I'll flex on you too. Don't get me started. Now, so like if I have my heads up position and I'm here, my data processing goes to target focus just like what the pistol dot does for you, as opposed to being behind the gun and having half of my or one lower third of my vision obscured. So
now, are you
in
talking
that
about
capacity,
while moving or while you're just
you're always
standing?
moving. You're always moving and shooting, right? Like
Especially
in a CQB capacity where you have to do high level data processing very quickly, and it's life and death, right? So you're moving, right? So that's one thing.
What I'm asking is that are you talking about when you're just like I'm clearing a room, or I'm like engaging?
I know where you're going with it, because if you're in a fixed position and you're engaging, yeah, you can crouch down behind that rifle.
No, that's not where I'm
but
going.
You're still missing data.
No, what I'm saying is, and this is why I bring this up. So I've seen a lot of people get these mounts, and what it's really turned into is to a rifle sucking like syndrome, where people suck up into their rifles while they're clearing buildings or in their handguns.
What do you mean, like rifle? Like, because to me, you're sucked up to a rifle when you don't have the high mount. For me personally, for me, how it personally changed my like movement is like now my head's relaxed. I'm looking around at a normal pace as if I'm walking through a space, and then I'm taking in this data. Secondarily, through night vision, everyone's got night vision right now. LARP just pulled out his. Brianna, I'm sure you're about to pull yours out in 3 seconds. If you're not shooting passively right now, you might as well be white lighting people in the night, because if you've got your laser up for like more than a splash in the room for a second and you're not shooting passively, that laser doesn't just affect the target by showing you where the target is, but it also directs right back to you. So your target now, if they have night vision, and the Taliban now has night vision, can see all of your IR. Yeah, because our president gave it to him. They can see you now, right? So like, to me, passive shooting, right, is like, it's at a 226 centerline optic like that one is a bare minimum. I want to try Slade's this is my Chinesium for airsoft. I wanted to give this Hydra thing a try. I think it's great on a shorter barrel rifle for this airsoft gun. I wouldn't put it on anything serious.
HRF Concepts also makes a thing that mounts to the unit.
Yeah, the slide. Yeah, that's good, man. I love that thing. Yeah, I have one on my real rifle for
just so if people are interested.
Yeah,
as an alternative.
Here's my 2 cents.
If you don't want to support SIG Simp Group.
Here's my 2 cents. Mission dictates gear. I think there's absolutely a time and a place for a like higher mount. Is that the end all be all? Like, are you going to put tall mounts on all of your guns? No. But some of them it makes sense. On others it doesn't. So I don't think they're entirely a gimmick.
I don't think they are, and I wanted to kind of articulate what I'm saying.
I think you're right that like there are some people that don't know why they're buying it, and they're just buying it.
Yes.
I think that's kind of the point you were trying to get at, right?
Yes. Well, so this is the issue I see. So I've seen a lot of people go to optics like this lately, right? Get those high optics. And then, when they move, and I don't mean like a direct engagement, but like I'm clearing a building, right? They're moving like this with their optic in their face. And there's different schools of thought with it, but the primary one, the one I agree with the most, is you don't want your sight picture in your face when you're clearing a building. When I'm engaging, obviously we want our sight picture, but you want your sights down. You want to look over your gun.
I see what you're saying.
Right? And what I've noticed with people when they have these big high-ass mounts these days is their gun will sit, even if it's lower, they end up getting sucked into their optic just because it's so much closer. And they don't even know why they have this, because this is really great
closer
for night vision.
Or in the line of sight.
Yes. This is great for night vision.
It was a binary. Not, it wasn't like, are you saying yes to both, closer and in your line of sight?
So what I mean is, like, let's say I'm clearing a room, right? I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm clearing a room. As I'm moving, my gun's either here, it might be back here, but my gun is not here as I'm clearing a room.
My gun's up.
Right. But I've noticed a lot of people get these high mounts and they clear rooms like this.
That's how I clear rooms.
Well, I'm saying with their optic in line with their eye.
Yes, because I'm looking past the optic the same way I'm looking at my red dot
So,
optic.
But you,
And
so
the
this
red
is why,
dot's
but
up,
this
and I'm
is the
target
issue.
focused as
So
opposed
even though you're target focused, you still have your
focused.
gun obstructing things. A big thing is if you walk and like, so I'll say like an active shooter situation, or is an example. You look at a lot of these videos and you'll see shell casings and blood and stuff on the ground. If you're moving with your optic like this, you're blocking a part of your ground. Versus if you have your gun lower, you can kind of see things more. Like you don't want to get sucked into your gun, even a handgun, right? You're moving. You don't want your gun up like this. One, you're going to tire yourself out a lot more if you're moving around at full extension. You can have your gun down a little bit more. You don't have to like do one of these things, but have your gun down a little bit and look over your gun, because I can shoot if I'm moving and there's a threat in front of me. I can start shooting and get I can get a precision sight picture really quickly. The time it takes to like prep the trigger. But if I'm moving,
I think it depends. I think it's like you said, Larp said, it's like mission dictates. So okay,
oh, absolutely. But
if I kick a door,
that's an issue I'm seeing is this causes bad practices because people are buying it without even knowing what it's
I don't.
That's a fault of the people, not of the equipment.
Right.
Yes, what I'm saying is people buy equipment without the proper knowledge, and I'm not gatekeeping. I'm just saying, because I'm trying to make a differentiation. A situation like this is a product that not everyone necessarily needs or has a use for, but people buy it anyways.
Yeah, but
people
don't even understand that even the height over bore is going to change your holds, and so your 100-yard zero is no longer a 100-yard zero.
Versus an enclosed emitter, right? With an enclosed emitter, it's I think there's no like you need it or you don't. If you're using a gun for serious use, I think you should have an enclosed emitter. So it was a long-winded way of saying this is equipment that may or may not be applicable to you in the realm of self-defense, right? This is equipment that in the realm of self-defense, I think is always applicable as an enclosed emitter.
I just want to say this. So like if to your point just prior with like having the rifle up or not, right? Like there are going to be moments that you're going to instinctively know this is a break moment, right? Like for example, it depends, right? Like if I know a certain portion of whatever it is that I'm clearing is cleared up to XYZ point, then yeah, I might have the gun at a low ready.
I don't even mean a low ready
before I come up. You know what I mean?
I
know what you mean. Just out of your line of sight, right?
Yeah,
like out of your line of sight. But if I'm hitting a room, right, and I come in and I'm like second or third in the stack, right? If I'm first in the stack, my rifle's up in my line because I'm trying to acquire as quickly as possible. So I'm taking that split second that it takes to come up out of the equation, and all I'm doing is putting the red blob on the target and squeezing. If I'm the second man in the stack, let's just say I'm number 2, right? After I hook the door or whatever it is, or I come in past the guy who's button hooking it, first man's button hooking, I come in, that gun's at high ready, so I'm not shooting my partner. I give him the squeeze, he comes in, and I snap it.
Oh yeah,
that's a different story.
Well, I'm saying if there's not a target, right? Because this is the thing is
right. Yeah, you're not on target the whole freaking time.
Shooting world, and I think this is something this is a concept a lot of people,
I
think fail to realize until you do if you do some real world, not real world, but like some scenario training, right? You're clearing a building, right? If you play airsoft and CQB, more than likely every corner there's gonna be someone to shoot, right?
Right.
Every time you turn in a CQB airsoft place, there's gonna be someone to shoot at, right?
Yeah, it's different. It's different than real world shit. That's how I want to live, baby.
So we'll look at that in a second. But everything. When you're actually clearing a building, right? Let's say like an active shooter or any sort of situation. There's more than likely, at most, right? Unless you're in like a school in Russia or a theater in Russia, there's more than likely at most 1 or 2 assailants, right? Give or take. And when you're clearing all these rooms, not every room is. I'm coming in and there's a target. There's a target. There's a target. You could clear an entire building, right, and never see a single individual, right, in the building. So I'm not necessarily coming up and bam, bam, bam. The reason so I want to be moving and kind of seeing everything around me. Mm-hmm. I can still shoot from here, right? I could shoot, probably at 20 yards of a rifle like this, right?
And you are kind of buying yourself PID time as well in that.
Yep, PID time.
Because everything as well is a lot of people get sucked into their optic. They see target, they shoot, right?
Yeah,
and I've seen that happen to people in force on force training where they're moving like this and they're like target, bam, 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 bam.
I'm not
Right?
gonna lie, it does happen to me. It
There's
does.
there's a
versus-
wonderful body cam video of a domestic violence suspect jumping out the second-story balcony and running on foot. They catch up to him while he hides in this little alcove in this like apartment complex.
Is this where
and
the
the
officer
cop
shoots the
sees
other
him.
officer for rifle?
No. They're chasing this dude at gunpoint, screaming at him to stop or whatever. The dude rounds the corner and then hides in this little alcove. The cop like runs by and sees him out of the corner of his eye, hiding in the alcove, and goes, "Oh shit!" and just fucking pops him. Dude was like standing in the corner, hiding like this and shit, but he was caught off guard, and the cop already had his gun up and on him, and it was just like an oh shit like response.
No PID time, and he just,
Well,
just pulled
I
the
saw
trigger.
another body cam video, and I can't confirm, but it looked like they were moving like this. They saw someone moving, and they just shot. And it turns out they shot another officer with their rifle.
I have seen that one too.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and I thought that's the one you were going with because it was similar to. But anyways, or there was one where these SWAT guys were clearing a field and they were moving like this. You could see them from the third officer's body cam, and there was a guy in the woods right below, in the bushes below them that they pops up, and then they end up shooting him because he pops out with a gun. So I think I understand why people want to move like this because like, oh, I'm super, super ready to shoot. But in reality, your readiness to shoot does not change a whole lot from here to here, right? I can make the same shots at most distances, especially CQB, from here, or here, right? Like a lot of times in CQB, when I'm moving, I'll move like this because I'm now putting weight on top of my shoulder versus holding it. So it makes it super comfortable, and it's a very quick here. Right.
Punch
or
out
moving
to
like
your,
this.
to
But
your,
if I'm all the way here, I'm going to tire myself out a whole lot faster. Keep maintaining this. And now trying to move while looking at your optic, you're really fucking yourself up. And I see why people like to do it, but it is ultimately something you don't want to do. Same with your pistol, right? You don't want to move. And I think it becomes easier with optics. I see it more of people now with the advent of pistol optics where they're moving and they're seeing right through their optic because it's a clear lens. It's like, you know,
throw my screen up there. Throw my screen up there. This is the pinnacle of firearms technology. If you don't know, now you know. You'll never tire yourself out.
That's
you
me.
Get, full field of view. It's perfect. I mean, yeah, you have to do a lot of hide over bore calculation, but
I feel like there's probably a ballistic computer in there somewhere that does it for you.
Oh, yeah.
I just like that the web address is April Fool's Primary Arms Hip Fire Riser.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, you know, just to touch on that real quick with hide over bore, right? Like, even with the 226, which is now considered like, okay, so there's the 193 Scalar works.
Yeah.
Then, there's the 226 line of the 226, meaning 2.26 inch hide over bore unity mounts, right? Either for the EOTech EXPS series or that Aimpoint type micro. There's the 2.5 inch, which we haven't had in our hands yet from Slade coming from Irregular Defense. And then there's the 2.9 inch Hydra Abomination that I displayed prior. I have the Chinesium, and it's the same metal, by the way, boys and girls. So anyway, the point is, right, now with the 2.26, it's okay. So let's just say you went for your 36 yard zero, right? 36 300, right? Which is my favorite combat zero because from 30 with a normal height riser, like an EXPS or something, you're going to get the same, like a lower third, co-witness, whatever. You're going to get this much of a group in the heart box area, more or less out to 300, out to 400. It comes down a little lower, right, and opens up the group. But on a 226 riser, this 36 yard zero now at 300 goes like here, and actually the out to 400, it's like shooting you between the legs. It's like way low, and it actually might even puff some dirt up in front of the target. So guys who are in soft units right now who are using the 226 mounts from Unity are re-zeroing at 45 meters or 49 and a half or so yards to tighten that group at 300, because it's not, there's so many, it's such a boring conversation, but there really are so many hide over bore considerations. And I recently posted this on my Instagram, like, do you guys consider hide over bore, or do you just mess with your holds, right? Because some holds have got to be fucking ridiculous, right? Out to 400, you're like, what are you lobbing them in? You know what I mean with the freaking thing? What
I
I'm
took
saying,
my
right?
recently SBR'd P90 out to 400 2 days ago or something like that, and yep.
Yeah, you're like, hey, there's the moon. Poof. Oh wow, bing. Right. So the point is, like, you really have to know your holds, yes,
Hear
but
about
I
this
think
mount?
height overboard plays an issue as well.
Or this
What is
mount?
this?
Oh, what is that?
What?
That's from a regular defense. That's
Oh
what they're
yeah.
doing.
That's wait. That is the. I don't know what the hell that is actually. Have I?
I
Is
don't know,
this
but I
thing?
like it. It
I
looks
have
cool.
not.
Regular defense. I think this is their mount, and this is some other company's mount.
Okay,
Or
that's
it's
something
theirs.
different. That's something different.
Oh,
So,
and then that's got that weird like parallaxy thingy mabob on the front.
Yeah.
oh
that's
yeah,
the-
that's cool.
Well, I'm
That's
talking about
cool.
this because then they also have this one here.
That one is the one for that one's the one for the EOTech, correct? Yeah. Oh, you know what? You know what that is, dude? That is like
It's literally a Picatinny riser. That's literally all that is.
you know the Unity one, the like the slutty looking Unity,
Yeah.
for the EOTech Unity. If you took an EOTech Unity and put them back to back with the EOTech on one side and the freaking laser on the other, you could center mount your laser, right? I don't know what he's doing with that. That's a thermal, right? That he's got.
Yeah, it's a clip on and then a
Clip-on.
magnifier.
Yeah. So
And then this one is
I don't know.
just the optic, and I guess this bolts into the mount. Into the mount.
yeah.
So this must be their T1 mount that bolts
I don't
in,
know if that.
and then there's a little
that's
thing
it.
here for like clip-ons and things like that.
I like running my.
Here,
I will
do it
never
again.
run my laser up front again. Never. It screws up the balance of the gun, boys. I'm sorry.
So this is the thing, right? And Pete is very well aware of this. I don't know if Pete still has any rifles in this configuration he can show,
what?
but I remember Pete had the Knight's Armament T1 mount with the Picatinny, and you just turn it around and put your pack on.
Oh yeah. Hold up. Another airsoft toy here. Hold on.
And people have been doing that for like 10 years.
So this is not me. This came from Ronan from GMR. Like, all shouts to him because he really is the one who started this whole thing. So this is a Knight's RB1 mount with a hollow sun, and this portion here here up front is usually reversed, and then you have like a flip up riser or whatever. Like
It usually looks like this.
right, like the one that you were just showing. Yeah, correctamundo. Exactly. But now if you flip it around the way I have it here, you can center mount your laser, and the weight, this is again an airsoft toy. You could see the wiring in there. You can center the weight on the piece and clear see how it clears your finger there if you activate the laser or whatever. Boom. That's the whole concept behind that. And that was Ronan from GMR who came up with that. That guy's a legend, man. He is a brain and a half on him. He did that a long ass time.
Eyeliner and cocaine, baby.
That's what I like. But anyway, yeah. So I center mount all my lasers now. I don't fuck with that end of the rifle stuff anymore. Too heavy. Whoa, that's the real deal, though. That's a man's rifle right there, or a woman's, I guess, if she's got good taste.
This one's also airsoft.
It's those realistic airsoft rounds.
Yeah.
It's the ones that makes those kids finally call their hits.
Yeah.
Super gas blowback. Oh
I'm
shit.
denying that one.
Oh, that needs a new fucking battery.
Yeah, bro.
Howdy.
Ooh, yeah. So like, I don't know, dudes. Like, you could slice it any which way. For me, I've gotten used to this now, and like my holdovers and everything, so I'm good. But I recently watched this video. Maybe I'll send it to you, and you could post it in the description. Midas of the holdovers, but also your re-zeroing. Like now, like a lot of guys, like I said, are zeroed out to 49 yards or 45 meters. With those unities, so that their groupings can be tighter at longer ranges. So we have to start like breaking these numbers up, like that we've known for so many years to be the standard. When you start changing the equipment the way we have been, like with the height over bore and everything, we have to start thinking about what happens when you go out to distance or like
when you shoot like a rifle like this with this mount.
Yeah,
like it definitely throws you off because. Like, it's not insane, but I will say you go for a headshot like at like 15 yards, you could end up going like,
oh yeah,
not what you're going for essentially.
I don't advise aiming for headshots for a myriad of reasons, but if you ever do find yourself in that scenario,
no, I mean, I think there's definitely times where headshots are warranted, and you know.
That's why EOTech is dope, man. Like if you have like an EOTech EXPS, like standard EXPS.
Well, actually, I just have the single dot mode.
If you have
this is the 503 GU for the OGs
Right.
out there.
But if you have a funky, like a standard EOTech, no funky mount, like standard, right? Like no funky mount, and you just zero it as it's God intended, like on the EOTech, which is at 50 yards for the center dot. Then the bottom slash, as we all know, like the EOTech has that little donut of death with the slashes. The bottom slash is a headshot at 7 yards. Perfect headshot at 7 yards. So you just come up and then click it off, and then there you go. Yeah, perfect, Blarp. So that's like, you know, a little trick with that mount
The
that everyone
36-yard one
knows.
has the same kind of trick. God, it's been so long since I've shot my rifle, but I zeroed my rifle to 36 yards, and it was the same, you know, way with I got the Holosun, the green.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I took the classes shooting that and kind of learning more about zeroing, because that broke my brain, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
I was sent the diagram, basically what you were talking about with the area here, and I was just trying to explain it to another friend who was zeroing his out to 100 yards, and I was like, okay, let's talk about your logic here. You know, look at these pictures. What are you trying to accomplish? But yeah, I also found that was my best choice. Yep, that's the same image that I have. I have a couple of them next to each other. Yeah,
that's
is
36 yard.
Sorry, is there some kind of a calculator that can generate that image for you based on parameters you feed it? Is that a thing yet?
I wonder.
It should be, because I know
I think it's
obviously
called
you've got, you know, different
like a Kestrel or whatever.
Well, I have a Kestrel, but
you need all kinds of ballistics. I mean, you know, you need the grains. You need, you know, like what round you're shooting out of what length rifle. Like all that stuff matters for FPS. So, Brianna, like I'm with you, man. Like all this math hurts my head, and I would just rather go.
There is an app out there.
There's Hardy's Ford Off. There's Kestrel. There's a few others too.
There's an app called Double
Here's
Shoot.
one with I don't know if it'll go because I don't know how to use
it. I see it.
Yeah.
But
Is
it's
that 100
25, 150, I think. It shows it. I don't know. And then the 36-yard one, I have the same one as the next image. And then there's a GIF of me doing math in between it because I'm like
there's an app called Double Shoot where you can print out their targets and you can put all the information you're using, like your optic. I think I don't know if you put your ammo, but you put your optic that you're using because they'll tell you what MO8, how many clicks, and so you shoot the target. You take a picture of the target with your phone. It scans it and it tells you how many clicks to adjust your optic.
Double Shoot. Hold on.
So so it is a free trial and then it's paid. So just understand that.
Tell me that's not worth it though. Like think about how much you save. Oh my gosh, man.
So when you just zero to it,
I mean, look.
I recommend getting like a pistol rest or something as well to zero pistols.
I agree.
Like I have the Caldolero pistolero, whatever.
I got a cheap ass one from Brownells for $16, some plastic piece of shit. And
I have the Caldolero plastic one I got for like $20 at some point.
Yep. And it works great. I just started rocking with that. Like my new pistol zero, by the way, is 15 yards. And I've seen some really definitive stuff on that number. First SIG was proclaiming 15 is the shit. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll just do it at 10 because it's kind of like a normal thing for me. But I understand now why when you're punching out even to like just 25, which isn't very long, but like for a pistol, you know, that's where shots start to become challenging for most people. And it gives you much better groupings, even at 15 yards at 25. So, and then much past it, like to 50.
So I normally
love that.
Like there's a lot of like T-Rex has targets where you shoot at like
10 and then
a 10 and it does for 25. So I'll use those and then I'll confirm at 25. Because I mean, if you're deliberate enough, like you can with a good trigger press, you can get good shots at 25. It's not really. It's obviously I'm not gonna mag them necessarily at like a precise headshot at 25 or something. But if I just want to get precision shots, at 25 yards, it's definitely doable. Like this,
we all need to be better. Like Elijah Big Dickens, man, that man at 40 yards.
Well, so this is the thing with that.
What was his like hit factor though?
8 out of 10 at 8 yards. Now it's the Dickens drill, bro.
At 40, this is to be fair about this.
He was stabilized.
He was.
Not only was he also moved up as he was shooting.
Oh, he did.
So more information that's come out is that, and I could be getting this wrong, but I'm about like 90%
Sounds
sure
like we got a hater in the room, boys.
is he shot and moved forward as he shot, which is not bad because you're using a pistol at a pretty large distance.
Good for him for being stabilized, though. Like,
Hell
that is the
yeah.
smarter decision. I mean, yeah, we're gonna knock it like, oh, that makes it easier. Yeah, and you'd be an idiot for not making it easier on yourself.
It's the argument of, oh, he made it
100%.
easier is the same people who argue that you shouldn't run optics on pistols because it makes it easier to shoot them.
That's cheating, boy. You got too many gizmos on that air blaster.
But go to Tier 1 Concealed YouTube
Oh,
page.
there he is.
Yeah, go to Tier 1 Tier 1 Concealed's YouTube page because they do the Dickens drill, just for fun, for shits and gigs, with unsupported. Just like, let's see if we can push ourselves to make these hits. And dude, they're hitting them nice out to 40 yards with that. Like, they'll like run from the target to the 40-yard mark, turn, and then shoot unstabilized. And they're getting a couple Charlies and maybe one Delta or something, but they're getting most of the hits in there. So yeah, I good on Tier 1 Concealed, man. They have some great content. Everyone should.
If you haven't ran the Dickens drill, go do it. It's fun. It's easy. Low round count. It's a good diagnostic skill. I mean, like, how often do you get to shoot out to 40? Most people don't. I know I don't.
A lot of
as
people.
Much as I'd like
I was talking about this with my
it.
friend earlier. Go to your local grocery store, and from like where like the meat and like fruit section is, all the way to the dairy section. That's
how do you know what my grocery store looks like?
That's probably like, and then you go to like a Walmart or something, like the super Walmarts, where you have like the food area, and it goes all the way like the auto maintenance area. That's probably like a quarter mile. Right, maybe not that much, but I don't know, maybe 200 yards.
Bro, one of the Walmarts near me, I won't dox myself too much, but it's about 300. Like, we paced it. It's about 300.
No,
well, like there's a large Target
Big.
I've been to where it's like literally like it's a quarter mile from one end of store to the other.
Damn.
Don't take that shot in a crowded Walmart with lots of people
even if there's literally no one but you and the shooter, I don't know how confident I would be with this. At 300 yards.
Yeah, I'm getting
like.
Well, also, ballistically, 9mm really pitters off after 150.
Yeah. Now, with this, yeah.
I have my backpack gun for this. Or I recently SBR'd my P90. Get a P90.
Butthole gun.
They're sick.
I mean, all I can say is this, train, right? Like we always say, know your holds. Whatever your zero is, you're not wrong. I'm just going to say that too. Like,
I don't know. If you zero at 5 yards, you're probably wrong.
Okay. Look. Okay. But if you know your holds at 5 yards versus an untrained person that has no clue what their gun is zeroed at, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you should zero at 5 yards.
If you're 5 yards away from me, I'm just saying that.
I'm not saying you're going to zero at 5 yards. I'm just saying whatever zero you choose.
I will say I have noticed holds are not irrelevant, but like I've not really ever had to think about it.
I felt that way.
Also, you're sitting lower. It's when you have these like gargantuan mounts where like holds really matter.
That really does matter.
There is an amazing drill from Dave Spalding. If y'all don't know who Dave Spalding is, give him a Google. He's an angel. And I'm taking one of his courses here soon. Well, another one. I've already taken a few of them. I'm gonna stop sucking his dick really quick, but there's this wonderful drill called the 3-round fade back, and it's a great drill. I do it every time I shoot. I usually start with some kind of a cold start, and then I move on to the 3-round fade back, and I do that at the beginning and the very end. All you do is you take a 3x5 like post-it note or like a package slip 3x5 rectangle, post that up on your A zone. Start at 3 yards, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And I usually stop at around 25 because that's kind of
your limit.
How most ranges around me are set up. But go do that and shoot it at every single distance. And your goal is to get all of your rounds in that 3x5. Even at 25 in that 3x5.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no time limit. It doesn't look cool. You're not going to be like, posting videos of you running this drill on the gram because nobody's going to like it. But it's a great diagnostic to see how you do, and it really hones on the fundamentals super hard. And like everybody says fundamentals, 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 but then they go and post videos of them doing a bill drill sub 2.
It's like,
you know,
right.
Fundamentals.
We're doing
Right?
doing the front roll to pick up the rifle, to throw the rifle, to come out from concealed, all that bullshit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's true. Fundamentals, though.
The 3x5 card is a great target no matter what drills you're shooting.
Hell
it's a great
yeah.
standard of accuracy because
It's
if you
like
look at it,
half an A zone.
it's less than half an A
Or,
zone.
no,
It's tiny.
It's
a brain box.
it's a head box.
It's about.
I have a
if you see
USPSA
that
target
Sage
somewhere, I think.
Dynamics target. You can't really.
Yeah.
Where's my finger? You can kind of see the smaller rectangle that goes about there, but you can
his
see
is about
you
a
can see
3x5.
the size of the.
His A zone is a 3x5, I believe, right?
It's a little bit bigger than a 3x5, not by much, but it is.
Right, right.
Like, hang on. The sticky note has things written on it, but no, I don't want to use that one because that has personal. Here we go. Wait, nope, that's tissues. Just kidding. Maybe I don't.
What I
have
want to know
any
is what
around
is
me.
with the frog flag?
MILF, man, I love frogs.
Oh,
Anyway, so the 3x5 card, it's roughly the size of your point. Cardiopulmonary cavity doodad.
Yeah.
Like
Most people know how big that is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's roughly that size, you know? So having having that standard of accuracy is great because even if you miss that, you know, it's like the whole Chris Kyle
Aim small, miss small.
It's true. It's true. It's kind of become a boomer saying, but it still holds true. So having that standard of accuracy has really helped me in competition because you miss that little 3x5, you're still well within an A zone.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. As a matter of fact, like I started like ditching, like, okay, I had to use different kinds of targets at the range for different reasons, but I started ditching like the silhouettes, and I'll take a little 8-inch paper plate a lot of times to the range with me. One, it saves money, but two, you just send it out, right? Like if I'm in an indoor range, who cares? You send it out to 15, you send it out to 25, whatever, right? Like you're still in this little 8-inch gong sized, you know, like what the ATF calls a front plate for your PC, a little gong sized thing. So you know, Brianna, you know what we're talking about? Oh my God, dude! All right,
I'll pull up a picture of it. Hang on,
pull up a picture
ATF
Missed
plate carrier.
I'm just picturing you walking into the range with plates, though. Like
yeah, like you pull them out, and guys do look because everyone's got their weird. Like you ever see that one like where the guy's like there's like the bad guy with the gun, like it's like God. It's like a cartoon though. It's not like
this is what we're talking about, Brianna.
Oh my God, what?
Her plate carrier.
Go to Walmart and let's pop up
AR 500 gong. Yeah. Yeah, so that'll like stop, like, you know, that'll definitely stop around, but it'll also spald and you'll die. Yeah, you'll die.
No.
So this poor woman was now, she's for like Moonlight Industries, like made a shirt with a gong on it.
Isn't that who they came after?
Yeah, they came after Moonlight. Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Yeah,
the whole thing was crazy. Oh, I just feel bad for her, you know, like I don't
imagine getting shot wearing that, how painful that would be.
Oh gosh, man, that is.
It's also super floppy, so like boom.
Also, look at her upper thorax, like nothing's covered.
Yeah.
The poor woman's gonna be, I mean, she'll get a belly shot, but nothing, and maybe some of the heart box, but she's still dead if she's shot higher than that gun.
Because also people don't realize how high the lungs go as well.
Yeah, that's no good. So
you also have arteries like
I hope
right
she gets
here.
a new one, man. That ain't cool. I hope she gets a new one. Yeah, you got to be up like your the top of your plate should be covering like right.
There's
right
a notch right
that
here.
Notch. Yes, up to that notch right there.
You can feel it.
Yep,
right about there.
Yep, that's where your plate should be. And if it's higher than that, you're crazy because you're not gonna be able to bend down and pick anything up. So there's a balance to it all. And by the way, if you're getting into plates, guys, please God, don't be like on the guys on SEAL team where your back plate is like hanging up right above your ass. You know, you ever see that shit? And then like their whole upper back is exposed. It's like, don't wear a back plate then. But as far as like going to the range, yeah, I'll take a little 8-inch plate and just send that thing out. You know, it's circular, it's easy to shoot, it's white. You know what I mean? And that's I think it's a good tell. But I'll start sending out a 3x5 card. Why wouldn't I?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, so this is what I used to do. I now just have cardboard USPSA targets because I have like your traditional target holder. I shoot outdoors a lot now, but literally just take an old piece of paper, like junk mail, fold it over, and it's a reduced A zone. Like here.
You can also just print these guys. These are great targets.
Oh,
It
cool.
shows you the like anatomical size.
Right.
And you
then
just print out targets from
pelvic
Sage Dynamics.
girdle.
Also has targets. If you look up his targets,
Yep,
Yeah,
Sage
yeah.
has some great ones.
like the Eleanor drill. I use that one a lot.
I always
He
I always
has
incorporate pelvic
anatomy
girdle.
targets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, pelvic girdle is my shit now too, like because of the prevalence of armor.
It's a
Where
good
are
idea.
his targets?
And
Yeah,
like,
think it's
I make-
Sage Dynamics
Oh, here
targets.
it's
Hold on,
right
there
here,
you go.
front
Oh,
page.
there you go.
Dur-dur-dur.
So like I'll use his vital anatomy targets, and what I'll do is I'll take my USPSA cardboard target and I'll
Damn,
print
what do you got?
the
A
chest
hamster
one.
wheel for your
I
internet
guess
service?
so, man. No, I think it's his website.
So I'll print that one and put it on the chest of USPSA, and then I'll print the head one and put it on the face, and then I'll just reuse the cardboard and
Right.
just swap those out.
Yeah, smart, real smart. Oh, perfect, dude.
So I just staple those on, and I reuse the cardboard target till it doesn't hold on the.
And when I use this one, I'll be like the girl in
They also have, like,
the new
Eleanor.
Miami Vice when she's like, "No, I'm gonna shoot you through the medulla oblongata." You ever see that scene in the new Miami Vice where she tells the bad guy what she's gonna do and she blasts him and like, which will shut off your body? Like, oh, it's pathetic. Eleanor drill.
Whenever I hear that word now, I just think of the new Nick Cage movie with Pedro Pascal.
Haven't
Those
seen
kids
it.
are still making movies.
I've seen the meme.
You know what I'm talking about? The Pedro Pascal Nicolas Cage movie. Oh, that one's a great. That's probably one of the best targets.
What is that?
So that is for your dot. So it is to test recoil control. So you put your red dot on the circle, you shoot, and in recoil, your dot should not leave the left or right of those black lines.
And ideally stay in the black circle, right? Like if you can.
Well, you want to return to the black circle.
Okay.
But when in recoil, when your gun's going up and down, your dot should stay
Smart.
between those two black lines.
Dude, I'm going
A lot
on
of times the
Sage's
students, I'll
site.
literally just draw a dot on the target and draw two black lines. But that target works great.
He's good. Damn, Sage Dynamics is good. All right.
I want to take a class with him. I love how analytical he is, how pedantic.
I also like how when he does his reviews, how like almost monotone and calm he is. Because like I have a tendency when I do my stuff, I'm like, oh, this is so amazing. And
But
I feel
you know
like
when he gets emotional about it, like he gets mad at something, you know it's bad.
Yeah, it's true. Like I feel like I oversell sometimes.
I sat down and read Sage Dynamics' whole entire white paper
On red dots?
about MRDSs for duty use.
Oh.
And I'm gonna bring that to my people and be like, hey, let me use a red dot, and here's why.
Oh wow.
So hopefully that works. I mean, if they say no, it's just gonna make them look stupid. But so hopefully Sage Dynamics will help me out here.
Do we want to close it out, boys and girls?
Yes.
Yep.
So we are like almost reaching 2
Who
hours.
cares? It was fun. I had fun with you.
It is fun.
Nut
But
It was a blast.
It was
at this point, there's gonna be like 3 people watching. So for those 3 people still watching, we'd like to close it out with a
Thank you.
question. I guess we'll do this question. So, what does everyone think about going back to the main topic of today's, the SIG thing, right? Because it's one thing, okay, SIG's defending himself, but SIG straight up lied, right? That's a new low.
Can I say this? Are we
What?
definitively saying that SIG really lied? Because like we looked at it and that's our interpretation.
I don't know.
You know?
I would testify in court that is a tourniquet holder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am that sure.
No, I listen. I'm actually with you, but anyone who's a SIG, fan, or just doesn't
SIG fan, sure, but if you're
doesn't
going to put out an
see this-
official press release saying this was the issue and this is what caused this problem, I don't care. Either you didn't do enough research or you're lying.
I would
Right,
just say
and
they
that's-
put out a statement without, taking adequate time to really look into it.
Yeah,
come up with
they
the
either
definitive-
rush to defend themselves
Yeah.
without actually analyzing the situation properly. But this is the thing: you look at those images and you look at it on a Safariland holster, and it doesn't line up. It doesn't make sense. The hood does not drop that low. Right?
Here's
Like,
the other thing, if I can have the floor for just a second.
Yes.
The fact that there are this many allegations out there is kind of enough said. I don't think that there are that many people that just dislike SIG for the sake of disliking SIG.
That's it.
To feloniously and falsely make these accusations, because
Mhm.
we're not hearing these accusations about Glock or Smith & Wesson or any of these other companies. So just the fact that those allegations are out there enough should kind of give you an idea that maybe SIG is not the best duty gun. Now, getting into the politics and all the other side of it, sure, you can draw your own conclusions there, but leaving the politics stuff out and just you like looking at this and deciding whether or not you want to buy and carry and field a SIG, especially in a professional setting where your standards are that much higher, you're that much more accountable, because you're not just saving yourself in a duty application, you're saving the public, right? And the public has entrusted you, right? So you're slightly higher on a pedestal there. Do you trust that? Should the public trust that? I'm a part of the public. I don't trust cops with Glocks because I've seen them ND. But it is what it is. So
Yeah, and I'd say even further to your point, it's like it's not even like a general dislike of SIG. It's one particular line of gun. More so, it's like all these people really hate this line of gun so much that this story is consistently here.
Yeah. I also want to say that, like, to your point, LARP, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think that you would have a class action lawsuit the size that it is, with over 400 or 500 plaintiffs against SIG, if there wasn't something significant there. I mean, don't forget, these lawsuits take time out of your life as well, money out of your pocket. If you're wrong, you could be countersued for court fees and defamation and all the other things, right, that go along with that as well. It's a big leap for someone to do that. And now we have video evidence of multiple different situations. You were saying, what's that guy, Genghis Khan's competition video with where his hands are in the surrender position. This video, which I think is relatively clear, from my eyes, and we did a few like enhance, and we I even like boosted it so you could really kind of clearly see it was a tourniquet. I do think it's an all new low, blaming police. I don't like that unless they're really wrong. I think the dude was trying to do his job and his gun went off in his holster. Hey man, SIG, do better. Like, make barrels that don't bend and spears, because we spend way too much money, and make a polymer frame for your striker fired guns. Maybe you do that instead of like having guns blow up in people's holsters and shit. Until you figure that out, figure it out. But stop doing your R&D on us and make your QC better, man. That's all I can say.
All right, well, guys, put your comments down below. What do you think about that whole incident, or anything else we discussed today? Because we rambled and ranted and raved a lot. But yeah, leave your comment down below. Go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed the video and the podcast, and we'll see you next time.